No, you do not need a new car. There are many reasons not to get a brand new car. I'm not saying don't get a car in general. I'm saying don't get one that's brand new or on the even on the newer side. This is a serious financial hurdle we're seeing, not just in Gen Z, but even in like the boomer generation or the millennial generation, Gen X, every single generation is guilty of this. I 100% understand the appeal of getting something that's brand new or even just on the newer side, but there are serious reasons not to do that when it comes to cars. Now, as always, on this channel, I talk about finance for Gen Z, so this video is oriented toward Gen Z, but anybody can take the tips I'm talking about in this video. Financial management is something that every single generation needs to work on if they want to have any chance of having a successful future or retirement. And one of the biggest hurdles to that is not budgeting your money correctly. And buying a car definitely falls into that category. We live in a time where we're made to believe that the newest thing is always the best thing. It's always trying to top the previous models, at least on the surface, with different specs, customization options, or other gimmicky features. And unfortunately, this is just a symptom of the capitalist society we live in. But if you're conscious of this and you're aware of it, you should not be buying into it because you are the product at the end of the day. And if you are the product, you can be certain that you're the one who's going to be suffering the consequences or paying the price. Now, as always, I want to give you some stats on the matter to really paint the picture of what it is we're dealing with and why this is such a money drain for most people. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're already a millionaire, then this video is not for you. Feel free to buy whatever car you like, but for the average person, this is a serious problem. A new car typically loses 16% of its value in just the first year. So you're essentially losing money right off the bat the second you drive out of that car lot, and there's really no getting that money back because cars are only depreciating assets, if you can even call them an asset. There's a good reason why when you're tracking your net worth, it's best to go off of your liquid assets because these are assets that have the potential to grow in value. There are of course some other ones such as gold or real estate, but if you're just adding up the resale value of the different things you own, most of those items are just going to be depreciating over time. So it's hard to really call those an asset. But my point being, cars are the worst example of that. They depreciate almost like nothing else. Another stat for you is that by the time the average 5-year loan is paid off, the car shed about 55% of its original purchase price. So by the time you're done paying off your loan, your car is half of the value. And now the really important thing to get into is the interest that also comes with that, as well as the potential extra fees that are getting thrown onto your bill. There's a reason that car dealerships have an awful reputation. They're known for doing bait and switch tactics and adding extra features that you'll never end up using. Assuming there's not any overt tampering done with the car, salesmen will often try to upsell you on things like extended warranties or other high profit additions for their commission that really just end up not being worth it for you. And on the interest side of things, this is the part that is extremely devastating for a lot of people because while your car is losing half of its value, you're also paying a bunch of money in interest that's going nowhere. And interest is probably one of the biggest problems that translates into all kinds of financing. The money is just disappearing and going to absolutely nothing. To give you an example, if you financed a car for $40,000 at 7% interest, trust me, you're not just paying $40,000. If this is over 5 years, you're going to be paying roughly $7,500 in interest. So your total cost for the car has now gone up to $47,500. And again, keep in mind your car has now lost half its value and is worth only $20,000 by the end of that. So you have paid $47,000 for a $20,000 car. So yeah, that's pretty disgusting. And again, I want to reiterate the fact that because this item is depreciating and not appreciating, the interest is especially useless because it's not something that's going up in value for you. This is not an investment, it's simply a money drain. Now, the starting cost for a basic car is around $24,000 as of 2026, and for Gen Z, the median salary is about $41,000. That is not something that you can afford. The average monthly payment for a car is $700 a month. These are the 2026 stats for new cars. And guess what? There's more, because we haven't even factored in insurance, gas, maintenance, anything else. Full coverage insurance, which is usually a requirement if you buy a new car, will usually cost you between $200 and $300 if you're between age 20 and 29. Gas, especially right now, is completely insane. Even taking out the ridiculous oil prices we have right now, if you have to do a lot of driving, a lot of people pay between $100 and $200 a month on gas. And then lastly, there's maintenance. This car is not going to survive if you aren't doing regular maintenance and especially oil changes. This would likely average out to around $50 per month. So now your monthly cost is well over $1,000 for this car that you already can't afford on its own. Now, one more thing is usually registration is going to cost more as well for new cars. I won't even factor that in for the sake of this video, but that could be a $500 to $800 bill every single year just for the sticker that's on the plate. Okay, and what are you actually getting when you buy a new car? Like what I talked about earlier, you're mostly paying for gimmicks and features that you probably won't use very often. You're also getting cheaper materials because in capitalism you have to compete, and in our late stage capitalist society we really need to compete. A lot of these newer cars are like 50% composed of plastic. They definitely don't make them like they used to. Okay, so what should you be looking for in a car? Because I get it. Some places you cannot traverse by walking or biking, although that would be optimal if you could. So we don't need any of these gimmicky features, we don't need the heavy bass boost or the touchscreen display for your maps instead of just using your phone. I promise you those features are not worth tens of thousands of dollars. The reality is that what matters most is what you're going to be dealing with on a day-to-day basis as far as practicality, cost basis, and longevity. For these three traits, I'd probably recommend a car like a Honda or Toyota, which tend to have very good gas mileage, be made of pretty decent materials, and also have very good lifespan. Now, I'm not just talking about any Toyota or Honda. You'll want to get one that's a little on the older side. Not that much older necessarily, but maybe just up to like 2012 or something like that. Not too new. You want to be careful. You'll get some actual value for your money this way by having some real materials in your car, and also having a car that can be worked on by mechanics without having to dig through a bunch of weird electronics and things like that. That really shouldn't be in the car. Okay, but more important than all of that, the cost is just going to be way, way less. This car's already gone through that 5-year period of losing half its value, maybe even 15 years of losing its value. And guess what? If the lifespan is 300,000 miles and you've driven 120,000 in it, there's still 180 left. That's a long time. And the best part is if you put this money aside to buy this car in full, you do not have to pay any interest on it, because chances are you can afford $5,000 to $7,000 instead of paying $20,000 to $40,000 in full. But this always sums up to one final thing: what your finances could look like if you do not make the bad decision of buying a new car. After all, that is what this channel is about. I want to help you with your finances so our generation can be a little better off. But what I would do with the money that would be going to a new car on a monthly basis is I would invest it mostly in the S&P 500, which is the top 500 companies in the US stock market. You can buy this very easily in an index fund, but let me put the numbers on screen for the estimated amount of money you can make, taking into account the average return of the S&P 500 since its inception. And this is not factoring in any additional investments. What I have here is $850 contributed on a monthly basis for 25 years at an estimated interest rate of 10%, which is what the S&P 500 has averaged since its inception. And $850 is pretty modest. If you remember the math we went over earlier, that was over $1,000. This is assuming you have a slightly cheaper monthly payment, as well as maybe cheaper insurance, gas, or some other maintenance fees. So really this is just about 2/3 what you'd expect to pay for a brand new car on average in 2026. So if you invested that instead, you'd be looking at over $1 million in just 25 years. Yes, these are estimates, but these are based on the average return over the past 70 years. Okay, so I hope that paints a picture for you. I hope you don't buy a brand new car, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a nice day.